Have you ever caught yourself thinking, if only my partner was more like me, our relationship would be so much better? In fact, it would be perfect. What if that way of thinking is actually doing more harm than good? Today on Relationship Real Talk, we're going to be sharing how trying to change your partner could actually be damaging your relationship.
Hello and welcome to Relationship Real Talk. My name is Julius Aniolu, and with me.
And I'm Mary Aniolu. We are your hosts on this show where we talk all things relationship, always keeping it real.
So, changing or the desire to change our partner to be like us, how helpful or unhelpful might that be? But the question is, why on earth do you want your partner to be like you?
I must say it's very common. I've heard people say it. I've heard lots of people talk about how they try to change their partners and how their partners try to change them. So I think it's very common, but that's a great place to start. Why? Why do we feel that need? For me, the first thing that comes to mind is comfort zone.
Right.
I am who I am. I am how I am. And so when I come in contact with someone who is different, immediately they draw me out of my comfort zone. And if I'm not careful, the first thing I want to do is I want to stay in my comfort zone. So rather than trying to grow, trying to think out of the box, trying to accept something I'm not used to, I want them to be like me, so I can remain where I am.
Right.
This is how I'm used to thinking. This is how I'm used to doing things. This is how I'm used to behaving. Why are you coming with something different?
Right. So
right?
It kind of sounds selfish.
I think it's selfish.
Yeah, so it's basically, okay, so I would say it's selfish.
It's selfish because I'm thinking about me. I'm thinking about me, not you. I'm forgetting you are a whole person by yourself. You have your own experiences, your own background, your own training that's made you who you are today. And so I'm asking you to discard all of that and be like me. We don't think about it like that, but that's what we
So we think about it very critically. Basically, you don't want to venture outside of your comfort zone. You're comfortable where you are, and you want the other person to join you where you are.
Exactly.
You want the other person to abandon their comfort zone and trade their own personality
and what they're used to
settle in for who you are.
Yeah.
I think if we look at it that way, I think we will all reasonably give up on trying to be with other people.
I think that's one of the main reasons, because if somebody is acting contrary to how you are, it can be a challenge. Now you have to think, you have to adjust, right? So maybe they're quiet and you're very outgoing and you're thinking, wow, they're so quiet. We need to be jumping all over the place and we need to be active, rather than you thinking, okay, maybe there's a time for quietness, right? So I think that's one of the reasons we love our comfort zones.
I remember when we were having our kids, when we just started out, Daniel, our first son, he was perfect in every sense of it. You remember?
Well, you think he was perfect.
Serious.
I know what you mean.
I always remembered he was a perfect kid. You remember our flat with pictures on the floor and
ornaments and decorations. And I remember friends saying to us, just wait till he starts to crawl. You're going to need to move all this away. I'll put them in cupboards. Yeah. But no, you would say to him, don't touch it. And he would not touch it.
He would just crawl around it, never knocking anything out, never stuffing the video, release your arm with it. And then
a second son
showed up, David. Oh my word. It was it. Where did you come from?
I'm sure God had mercy on us, because if we had David first, we probably would have said no more children. But the point is, they were completely different. Even from birth, some of it is genetic. It's just the way you're wired. And so expecting someone to change who they are so they become like you is absolutely unfair and it's absolutely selfish.
The reason I brought that analogy or that memory up is David challenged us to grow to the level that we can accommodate this new addition to our family, as opposed to try to make him be like his brother. So, going with the flow of what you were saying, that when we attempt to change the other person, is our attempts to changing the other person is driven by the desire for me to remain where I am, but when you allow them to be themselves and you allow yourself to venture out of your comfort zone.
We interpret different as deficient.
Yeah. And
it's not true. It's not the truth that because someone is different to you, they're deficient in any way. So you make yourself to be the standard.
Yeah.
You say, I am the standard, you measure up to me. And again, that is different. In fact, it's a little bit arrogant, isn't it? To think that you are the standard. But we never think about these things like this, which is why we're highlighting it. And let us know what you think, because this is such a prevalent thing. But very often we do it subconsciously. We don't think about what we're doing. We're doing it subconsciously. But when you really think about it, number one is to maintain your own comfort zone. And number two, basically what you're saying is you are the standard and they are deficient. So they should become like you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when you really think about it, you will admit that, no, that's not right.
When I was starting out, looking for a wife to marry, I wasn't looking for somebody that was like me. I was practically looking for somebody that will complement me. You can say, well, maybe that's selfish. No, I don't think so. But, I was looking for somebody with outstanding differences, that will be able to work together with me, as opposed to looking for somebody who like what I like and just say what I say and just say yes to everything that I say,
And the other thing, I think, depending on your personality as well, is you might be that kind of person that just loves to control things. I know certainly that's something that I had to grow out of, the need to feel I have to control things. And so you can go beyond even trying to control things to controlling people. And rather than you looking at yourself and being self-reflective, you begin to look at them and think about how can I control them so they act how I want them to act. I think that's another reason why people might feel the need to want to try and change people, because they want to be in control.
They want to be in control. And also falling in love with fantasy, as opposed to reality. You have this imagined creature in your mind of what the other person should be, and goes right then to just be delivered on that platter for you. And when they're not, there's an issue.
So when the reality does not match the expectation, again, you default to that place of wanting to control. And I think what we tend to forget is you can never control anyone. Even a child. I remember the story of this woman, I'm sure we shared it before on Relationship Real Talk, that was on a bus with their child, and they kept telling the child, sit down, you're going to fall, sit down. And in the end, the child just kept standing up, and the mother yanked the child down, and finally the child sat down, but then tugged at the mother's skirt and said, Mom, outside I'm sitting, but inside I'm standing. So the child is saying, I'm rebelling still. And it's only a matter of time, they are going to be standing on the outside as well. So you can never really change someone.
The best person that you can control is self. And the reason I stunted a little bit is that most of us live life without even learning to master self. If you can master self, you are your way to win. So rather than wanting to master somebody else, to break them to fit into your own expectation, master self, control self, and life in the fun.
Yeah. So we don't know about you. We would love to hear from you. What do you think? Why do people feel the need to want to change their spouse? Maybe you have experienced that. Maybe you've been in that place where your spouse tells you, oh, you are too loud, or you're too quiet, or, you're not fast enough, you're too slow, it takes too long for you to make a decision, all these things. How does it make you feel? Because that is another thing, that is another danger of doing it, because I start to feel inadequate, don't I?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to feel inadequate. Nobody wants to feel like there's something wrong with them. Right now, I go to a party and I'm happy to just sit by myself and watch people dance. My spouse wants to be the life or blood of the party, and then they feel like, why can't you dance so can't you do what I'm doing? It makes me feel inadequate. It makes me feel like there's something wrong with me, like I'm deficient.
Yeah. So another reason why some people probably do it is because they're comparing their partner with another person,
someone else, maybe not even someone else's. Now, what's up with Donald? So yes.
See, look at that person. They're very quiet. Well, I can't
be like that.
I'm not them.
But immediately it makes you feel inadequate.
Well,
it will.
It's yes, it does. It gives you away that I might be good, but I'm not good enough for you.
That's what I mean. Inadequate. I'm not good enough. And who likes to feel inadequate? Who likes to? I mean, if you've ever found yourself where you're saying to your spouse, you are too much, or you're too little, you're too loud, you're too bright, you're whatever it is that you're criticizing them for, just put yourself in their shoes. How would that make you feel? So rather than getting curious, you're wanting to put them in a box.
Yeah.
And it stifles my expression of who I am as well. Now I start to feel intimidated. If I'm not a strong person, I could start to feel intimidated by your response to how I am. And I can start to hold back from my real authentic self.
Yeah.
So rather than coming into a room, for instance, and saying hello to everyone, I might just want to sit quietly, because I know if I start to say hello to everyone, my spouse is gonna call me to the corner and say, "Can't you just sit down and be quiet?" or kind of thing. So yeah, it makes one feel inadequate. It makes you, shrink back from who you really are.
Yeah.
And for how long can you keep doing that before you feel frustrated?
Yeah, but there is a need for a balance, isn't there? Because it's not everything that our partner points out. There is an attempt for them to make us like them. Because so we've got to be able to listen. We've always talked about listening. We have to listen to them as opposed to hearing a voice of criticism and then having the desire to say, okay, I've got to defend myself. So it's not a battle. So sometimes you got to listen to what they're saying in order for you to judge accurately.
But I think there's a difference, though. I think there's a difference between, because obviously we're not saying never correct someone or never make suggestions. That's not what we're saying. But we're talking specifically about trying to change someone to make them like you. So there's a difference. I mean, I can say to you, for instance, whatever it is, I might make a suggestion to you. But if I'm always addressing how you are, how you speak, what you do, because it's different to how I am, that is the issue, isn't it?
I hear what you're saying, but I just wanted to put that in there, that when the next time you hear what you call negative from your partner, is not always an attempt that they want you to be like that. Possibly they could be addressing a genuine issue that you need to listen to and address. So it's just having that presence of mind and that maturity to say, this person actually know what they're talking about, and I will benefit from adopting what this thing that they're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. But going back to some of the problems that trying to change your partner could create, is it starts to create some sort of power tussle. Right. So I start to feel like you're trying to, because nobody wants to feel dominated. We were never meant to dominate each other. So we now have this silent competition and power tussle where I'm feeling like you want to be in control. You want to be you want to have the upper hand, and you're trying to put me down. And so there's this power tussle, and now you have conflict instead of harmony. Now you even maybe have competition, right? So all of that is just negative.
Right, absolutely. And some of the problem that it could create is I begin to doubt my own authenticity.
Yes.
I know I'm not perfect. I know that. So I don't really need anybody to tell me I'm a self-acknowledged perfect. However, I think I'm good at some things, but those things that I call my strength, if they are being criticized, and it's only a matter of time, I begin to say to myself, oh,
maybe it's actually your weakness.
Yeah, maybe there's something wrong with me. And so rather than enjoying the benefit that this difference could bring into my life, you are damaging them, and therefore you are losing the benefit that they can add to your life.
Absolutely. And I think that's a big one. That is a big one. This fear almost from showing up as your real, powerful, authentic self. And that is so damaging, because everybody has the right. Everybody has the right to show up as they really are, to show up in the full glory that they have, to show up with their strengths, to be creative, to express who they are. Every single person has the right to do that. And when you start to feel like you're losing that right, because every time you try and step out, somebody's trying to curtail you, somebody's trying to hold you back, somebody's trying to diminish you, somebody's trying to make you feel smaller, it can be so damaging.
Okay, so
Because like you say, what is supposed to be a strength, you now start to feel like it's a weakness. And when they strip you of that, it's like, what's left? What's left? So there's lots of reasons why we should not do that, no matter how tempting it is. No matter how tempting it is. But we would love to hear from you as usual. We would love to hear from you. What do you think? Do you think there is place for it? Do you think there's a place for it? Do you think sometimes it's allowed for your spouse to want to change you to become like them, or for you to want to change your spouse to become like you? Do you think it can be condoned? We would love to hear from you.
another problem that you might have if you constantly try to change the other person is you're going to call for arguments. You know, you're going to have unnecessary arguments. You know, you're going to be putting your energy into the wrong things.
Yeah.
When you should be putting your energy into building, you'll be putting your energy into fire.
Yeah.
You know, and that's going to deplete you, you know, as opposed to enhancing you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So many reasons why we should not do it, no matter how tempting it is. But the reality, I think, is often it's subconscious. Often it's subconscious. It's not like we wake up one day and say, I'm going to change my spouse to become like me. We just react or respond on the basis of what's going on and on the basis of where we are and who we are. But without realizing it, that's what we're actually saying with our actions, and sometimes even with our words, wanting them to respond like we would respond, wanting them to see things the way we would see all the time. And while we, of course, need to rub off on each other, I think the danger, when we become overbearing with it, where the other person feels like they never do anything right because they don't do it like us, that could be a challenge. But if you find yourself in that place where you're feeling frustrated because you've been trying to change your spouse and it's just not working, or you find that it's maybe damaging your relationship, we want to encourage you to join us on the next episode, where we're going to be sharing with you some mind shifts that will really help you overcome this challenge or struggle, if it's one you're encountering right now. So do join us on the next episode of Relationship Real Talk, where we talk all things relationship, always keeping it real. See you next time.
So yeah.